Welcome to Global English Tales. We're so happy you're here. If you want to improve your English by listening to interesting stories, you're in the right place. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more fun content. Stay with us until the end, where we'll talk about important words from the story to help you learn more. Let's begin. The Vanishing Train. Omar Rahman stood on the dimly lit platform, gripping the small, yellow ticket in his hand. The station clock read 11:59 p.m. His train, an old-fashioned locomotive, emerged from the mist, its headlights piercing through the darkness. There was no one else around. He had no memory of how he got here. As the train screeched to a stop, the doors opened with a slow hiss. Omar hesitated, but something compelled him to step inside. The door sealed shut behind him. The carriage was filled with people dressed in outdated clothing, Victorian suits, 1920s flapper dresses, even military uniforms from wars long past. They sat eerily still, some whispering to themselves, others staring blankly ahead. Omar took a seat by the window, trying to calm his racing heart. A man beside him turned, his face gaunt and pale. "First time on the Midnight Express?" the man asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Omar nodded. "Where is it going?" The man chuckled dryly. "That depends." "On what?" The man's eyes darkened. "On whether you remember how you got here." The train lurched forward, and Omar felt an odd sensation, like reality itself shifting. He turned back to the man beside him, but the seat was empty. He blinked. The man had been there just a second ago. He glanced around. No one seemed to notice. He reached forward, touching the seat where the man had been. Still warm. A shiver ran down his spine. "Excuse me," he called out to the conductor walking down the aisle. "A man was sitting here just now. He's gone." The conductor smiled politely. "Are you sure, Mr. Rahman?" Omar's stomach twisted. He had never told the conductor his name. A little girl in a faded blue dress tugged on his sleeve. "You shouldn't ask too many questions," she whispered. Omar frowned. "Why not?" She leaned in, eyes wide with fear. "Because if you forget them, they disappear." Omar's breath caught. "What do you mean?" She pointed to the empty seat. "If you don't remember someone, they're gone. Forever." A chill settled over him. The train wasn't just taking people somewhere. It was erasing them. The conductor stopped beside Omar's seat again. "Is everything to your satisfaction, Mr. Rahman?" His voice was calm, but there was something unsettling beneath it. Omar forced himself to remain calm. "Where is this train going?" The conductor smiled. "Everywhere and nowhere." "That doesn't answer my question." The conductor bent slightly, lowering his voice. "You shouldn't ask questions you don't want the answers to." Omar's skin prickled with unease. He needed a plan. He had to get off this train before it erased him too. Omar's heartbeat thundered in his chest. He turned to the little girl. "What do you mean the train erases us?" She looked around nervously before leaning in. "If you forget them, they're gone. Forever." Omar's mind raced. The man who vanished. He could barely recall his face. The memory was already fading like a dream slipping through his fingers. He clenched his fists, forcing himself to hold on to the image. He was real. "I saw him. He existed." The little girl nodded as if reading his thoughts. "You have to remember. If no one remembers, you disappear." A heavy silence settled between them. Omar realized the train wasn't just claiming lives. It was erasing them from history itself. The little girl tugged at Omar's sleeve. "There's a way out." Hope surged in his chest. "How?" She hesitated, glancing toward the conductor. "You have to find the ticket." Omar frowned. "What ticket?" She pointed to the other passengers. "Everyone has one. If you lose it, you can't leave." Omar searched his pockets. Nothing. He had never been given a ticket. His stomach sank. He was trapped. Determined, Omar moved through the train, searching for answers. He stopped at a compartment where a man in a tattered suit sat motionless. "Excuse me," Omar said. "Do you know how to leave this train?" The man's head turned slowly, his sunken eyes filled with despair. "There is no leaving. We're all forgotten." Omar's chest tightened. "There has to be a way." The man's lips trembled. "Find the first passenger. The one who started it all." A cold shiver ran down Omar's spine. The first passenger? Who was he? Omar pressed forward, determined. He reached the front of the train, where an old man sat alone, staring at an ancient, yellow ticket in his hands. "You're the first passenger," Omar said, his voice barely a whisper. The man lifted his gaze, eyes filled with regret. "I was. What happened?" The man exhaled shakily. "I bought a ticket, but I never used it." Omar frowned. "What does that mean?" The old man's eyes darkened. "I didn't board, but the train took me anyway." Realization struck Omar. This train didn't just carry passengers. It claimed them. Omar felt the train slowing. The conductor appeared again, his smile wider than before. "Your stop, Mr. Rahman." The door slid open. Outside, an empty station loomed in the fog. Omar turned back to the little girl. "Come with me." She shook her head, sadness in her eyes. "I don't have a ticket anymore." Omar's heart twisted. He had to make a choice. Without thinking, Omar grabbed the old man's ticket and pressed it into the girl's hands. The conductor's eyes flared. "That's against the rules." The train trembled, the lights flickering wildly. A deafening screech filled the air. Omar pushed the girl forward. "Run." She hesitated, then darted off the train just as the doors slammed shut. The train lurched violently, the world outside warping into darkness. The conductor's grin widened. "You broke the rules." Omar swallowed hard. He wasn't getting off. A week later, a headline surfaced in the newspapers. "Mysterious girl found at abandoned station, claims to have escaped vanishing train." But of Omar Rahman, there was no trace. Because no one remembered him. Now vocabulary practice section. Let's learn some important words from the story. 1. Vanishing, disappearing suddenly. Example, the magician's trick made the coin vanish into thin air. 2. Eerie, strange and frightening. Example, the abandoned house had an eerie silence that sent chills down my spine. 3. Compelled, forced or driven to do something. Example, Omar felt compelled to enter the train, even though he didn't know why. 4. Lurched, moved suddenly or unsteadily. Example, the train lurched forward, making Omar lose his balance. 5. Gaunt, very thin, especially from illness or worry. Example, the gaunt man beside Omar whispered in a trembling voice. 6. Prickled, felt a tingling or slight stinging sensation. Example, a sense of fear prickled Omar's skin as the conductor smiled at him. 7. Regret, a feeling of sadness or disappointment about something done. Example, the old man's eyes were filled with regret as he held his ticket. 8. Despair, complete loss of hope. Example, the passengers' faces showed only despair, as if they had given up. 9. Trembled, shook slightly from fear or emotion. Example, the girl's lips trembled as she revealed the train's dark secret. 10. Warping, twisting or distorting, often in a strange way. Example, the world outside the train started warping, as if reality itself was breaking. Now, try using these words in your own sentences to practice. What story would you like to hear in our next video? Share your ideas in the comments, and we might make your idea come true. Thank you for watching today's story. If you liked it, please like, share, and subscribe to help us grow. We really appreciate your support. See you in the next video.